Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And finally, getting around to Boss Battle 2 of Heroes Jubilee. This stage gonna be a lot harder for people, unfortunately, because we just have a distinct lack of single target fire characters. So the starting hand switched, so now it's blues instead of greens like Boss Battle 1, and it's only against one character, Milim. She nerfs greens, has magic resistance, nerfs crit, nerfs synergy, and then attack, and then lowers her defense. And then she also recovers her own stat abnormalities. So you can't do despair, you can't do burn. Well, you can do burn for one turn, and then it goes away. But even Elmesia's enamor effect not happening here. So we're really down on 5-star EX nuking characters that are single target fire. Like there's just not a lot of them. If we go in and we just look at it, this is an example, but if we just search by fire characters overall, single target, you can't crit, so you don't really want to use Violet. You can't get Megamine anymore. Idol Shuna is synergy focused, you don't want to do that. And then AoE, single target Ogre's Pride, which we do use, AoE, AoE, and then everyone else is, free, AoE, single target green focused with burn, AoE. Yeah, I guess you could use Fire Milim, but it's like, we don't have a lot of solid options. If you have Rimuru, if you have Shizu, great, you have something to do. If you have the new team, great. But it's gonna be kind of rough for Boss Battle 2. More so than Boss Battle 1, because most of our characters are AoE focused. But I got three teams for you today. Again, if you have alternate teams or some variations, please, for the love of God, put them down in the comments. Yeah, I can only show just a few today. It would really help me greatly if everyone else could chime in and tell people what you're using that works for you at least, and that'll help everybody, including myself. So let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, first team is the meta Albus, Primal Demon, Diablo to give Primal Demon, well, not Primal Demon, but Festive Memories, Violet, who is a Primal Demon, the big time physical buff, and then Shizu, Maribel, and Momiji. So, I mean, this is the high scoring team. You need a little bit of luck to get RNG to work in your favor, but it is possible. The charm I'm running is the Alt Rush charm, so that your highest attacking character gets 16% ult gauge or something. This will ensure that we can rush Momiji's ult quickly, because we need to store a few things on her, and the sooner we can do that, the better. So, turn 1, we're going to have to use either Maribel or Momiji's Orb Change. I think we're going to go with Momiji, because she gives the 10% gauge increase, and that's going to help us get a double stack of Albus turn 2. So boom, and then we'll bring in Violet, we'll bring in Shizu. Shizu's ult, since she's an AoE, is not as important. I mean, technically Momiji's an AoE as well. Or not Momiji, Violet is an AoE, but she's obviously an attack EX Unbound character. So, turn 2, a lot of RNG here. Your runs will die on turn 2 and turn 7 mostly. But if you can get past that, you're looking pretty good. So here, we'll just use Maribel's Orb Change. It can convert any 2 orbs, which these will work. So, boom, stack there, and then we'll give everybody stacks. Don't ask me why I brought Diablo in. I'm not entirely sure why. I guess I'm saving barriers. However, this Milim doesn't hit you nearly as often as the Boss Battle 1 stage hits. So it's very, very easy to store barriers in this fight. She does hit you, and you do have to still play around, but it's not like you have 3 people hitting you twice in a row. It's her doing like 1 or 2 attacks at most. So as long as you're being smart about it, you can hold on to quite a few barriers and be able to max out Maribel's skill. Sorry, everyone starts with a friggin' M. Okay, so at this point, like, we're almost got the Violet ult, and that's the whole point, is that we're ult rushing every single time we use Albus, and that is why she is so far up on her gauge right now. So, We'll bring Maribel in. We'll use the orb change. That's a lot of Maribel orbs. Now it's a lot of Diablo orbs. We're trying to hold some barriers. And then stack. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gets her the EX ult. We need Diablo up front because we need to apply the physical buff. It's only going to apply to her. So Shizu not having it, not a big deal. But we need to do it here. And then we still need to have enough points to orb change and do everything that we need to. So you have now got an EX ult. You're holding a 100% physical buff. And now we need to orb change. And that's going to require, again, some RNG. Because we get exactly enough points to do that. So we could bring Shizu in. We could not. It's really whatever we want to do here. But we're going to opt out of it. Oh no, we're going to bring her in. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Oh, okay, I know why. Because next turn, once we build the points back up, we have to use the fire buff and the AoE buff. So both of Shizu's skills. So we get max points. We're going to send her ult. Not a big deal that we're missing it because she's not going to be super powerful on turn 8. I'd rather get someone else's ult because they're going to help Violet do more damage. But now we have 150 points. Now we can bring Violet in for Diablo. We can use the fire buff and the AoE debuff and the pierce power, and then we can send Violet away again. And that's how we're going to make her do a lot of damage in the nuke turn, because she's holding on to quite a few different things now. And we still need to make sure that we can alt swap away, boom, and then orb change, because we're going to need the full 150 points. So boom, boom, perfect, perfect. We have 10 barriers right now. Now it's 13 barriers. Unfortunately, we're going to lose a few here. So, boom. Awesome. Her AoE is going to hit. Delete 1 from everybody. Alright. But that's it. We still are pretty capped out once we use the skill. But now we need to take Shizu out of here. And we need to have everyone up front. So now we have Momiji's ult, which is a single target. It's still a support ult, but So Violet can come in. We don't need Diablo at all, so we're going to orb change. Oh, no, this is turn 7. Oh, my bad. I'm talking out my ass. Okay, well, we have one more turn. So we just full orb change there with Violet. Violet. Momiji. God, I'm tired. I hope you guys understand what I'm going for. Okay. Okay, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, actually? Taking Momiji out for Diablo? We're just gonna send this? I mean, we got the points. We'll get another stack of Albus. That works, and it'll do this ult, and it'll give us a Shizu ult. Not that it matters, because I don't think Shizu's gonna be up front. Question mark? Question mark? Alright, so we have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 barriers right there. But we do need to bring Violet in first to use her skill, otherwise we're not going to have points for anything. So, Violet in for Diablo. He has a lot of orbs. And then we can use her skill after we use Albus to give more people barriers. So 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, we are able to max out the Maribel skill. So boom. And then Maribel's buff. And then we could send Maribel away for Momiji. And that would give us a pretty good hand. And then we can use Momiji's buff. So, guaranteed pierce and then ult resistance down. Now we have 3 ults. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, Momiji, 1.2 million, 2.5 million, 50 million. 50. Quite a bit higher, and then the 2 orbs right there. So we end up at 56.6 as our final score. That's my current highest score, and I don't really feel like going back in. But you do need a few things to work out there. Sorry I got lost on the turns. I'm just not all here today. But that's how we're running that team to get a high score. Alright, hey, what do you know? Ogre's Pride makes a return. This time we're going max damage. In Boss Battle 1, we brought Lumi because we had those 2 turns where all the orbs are oranges, and we don't have that problem here. So we're going to try and make the full damage team work by getting the EX ults for Shuna and Momiji, giving Momiji the Violet buff beforehand so she's extra powerful, and then nuking with at least their 2 EX alts. Maybe Soe if we can get him. Requires a bit of RNG. We're running the alt gauge on Blue Charm, so we can get a lot of alt gauge for everybody. But we can't use the Enamor on Elmesia, because she'll cleanse it off, and we're not actually going to get the effect. So there's no point in using it here. At least the team is fairly straightforward, though. Orb change, stack, orb change, stack. You don't have to do any of these weird things where you need barriers and everyone needs a barrier. You don't have a limit on skill points. You got to use another skill to give you more skill points. None of that shenanigans. It's just get blue orbs, get big damage, and all you need is RNG. That's the only thing you need. So turn 2 again, makes or breaks runs. We get lucky here. We only have 1 orange orb convert, so we'll just use Soe again. And then this starts our process of stacking forever. And until we get an EX alt for Momiji, it's this. So, I mean, I don't think we need to sit here and watch 7 more turns of it. If, we can talk if you want. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's almost 11 p.m. and I'm Saturday. Saturday, December 14th is legitimately my only day where I don't have anything on the calendar that I need to do with other people or work-wise. I'm gonna work because I have to record a butt ton of videos for the channel so I could have them scheduled out. I need to do all of the videos for the limited time Chamber of Memories tomorrow, and that's 8 videos I gotta record in one day. That's gonna suck. So actually, by the time you're watching this video, I've probably already started. So please, pray for me in the comments for my vocal cords tomorrow, because they are not gonna be happy. I've already recorded Corridor. I did earlier today the countdown battle plus the collab prediction kind of thing. I did the predation quest, so those are done. I still have to do the tier list. I still have to do once we get closer. I don't even actually know if I'm going to do the Alice showcase. Who gives a fuck? Legitimately, who gives a fuck? Okay, so here, this turn, we're going to get the Momiji ult. So we need to bring Violet up front. That way, on the next turn, we could give Momiji the Violet buff and then send her away. And then she'll exist in the back until we're ready to nuke. So this is the second important turn, is getting the EX ult and making sure you can buff her. And that's excellent RNG right there. So we can alt swap, orb change with somebody. It doesn't really matter who. But we'll magic buff now, and then we'll bring Soe in for Momiji so we can hold that magic buff. And then we have enough points to use all the other things. That's the only buff you need to hold, and you only need to hold it on Momiji, because Shuna gives herself a personal 120% magic buff. So she doesn't need Violet's buff. It's worse, technically. So, with 2 turns left, we have Soe's ult. That's cool. That's a little bit extra damage right there. So let's alt swap, let's orb change, and this will ensure that we have now enough points. And the only thing we need to really make sure is that we have an orb for Elmesia / Violet, depending on who I bring in. So we do have an orb coming in for Elmesia. So that is a guarantee, we're going to nuke successfully here. Thank God. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, it's not enough to get Soe's EX ult. Not the end of the world. So we got 2 Elmesia orbs. Perfect. But we need all the points. So we're going to Elmesia buff. That's going to help Shuna and Momiji, not Soe. And then Momiji already has the magic buff, so we'll use 1, 2, 3. That's 300 points used in a turn, which means that Soe is now full power, 100% synergy. And then we'll Benimaru for 100% Pierce power. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Soe, 980k. Momiji, 16.6. And then 13.3 for Shuna, because Momiji also has that fire buff. So she does more damage overall. But that gives us a score of 569, which is, not a million like my other team got. However, it's off-brand, and Milim has magic resistance, and a butt ton of synergy resistance. So it's actually a pretty good score overall. So it's definitely a viable option still for someone to use. All right, final team. Commander Renard, Blanc, Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, Fount of Wisdom Albus, and then single target fire EX characters, Tempest Elite Rimuru and Summer Shizu. We're technically doubling up on Weakness Strike because Shizu is giving it at 60%, Blanc's doing 100. They both alt swap, but the key factor is that she's single target fire. That's the only reason I brought her. If you want to bring somebody else so you're not doubling up buffs, you totally can, but you can't crit here, you can't synergy. It takes away a butt ton of things. Rimuru is already giving himself an alt buff and an attack buff, so you don't technically need to bring those buffs either, which really then restricts you on the number of buffs you need. Like, if you can get alt resistance down here, great. That's the only thing that we can really miss, or Pierce Power, because Albus is doing Pierce Resistance down. No one to give Pierce Power, though. So that's not a lot of other buffs you could bring, but you certainly could maybe swap Summer Shizu out for, like, Aqua, if you have her, or the new Light Masked Hero, if you have her. Who else gives Pierce Power? Dark Xion? She'd be awful. Yeah, someone. You figure out who you got to buff with. But Rimuru is the primary DPS character. That's the main key takeaway here. But it is just stacking. And it's fairly simple stacking. So we've got Rimuru's buff is 25 points. Blanc, Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, and Albus are all 80. So we're not running a horribly expensive team on the nuke turn. So we don't have to store anything to be effective. We do want to get 2 EX alts for this team, mostly with Rimuru, who already has an alt now. So that's good. We're running the alt gauge on Blue Charm again, so all the blue orbs. This turn is kind of unfortunate. Like, if we had gotten a turn full of Shizu orbs, that would have worked really, really well, but we get 5 Rimurus, which isn't the end of the world. He's the DPS, and we're going to get his EX alt pretty much here. We might be a little short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're just a tiny bit short, but it's not a big deal. We have 4 turns after this to still build up. I originally brought Guy on this team instead of Blanc, and then I was having to deal with a single alt swap, and then had to make sure that we had EX alts for Rimuru and Shizu by turn 7 so we could send them away. So we don't have them up front for the guaranteed crits that Guy would give, because that would nerf our damage. And I found that to be very inefficient. So we took him out, and we brought Blanc in, because she's got a better weakness strike buff. She's a triple alt swapper, means we don't have to rely on bitch-ass Shizu's single swap. You can if you want, but it's kind of awful. So orb change, boom. We'll bring Shizu in. Now we can use the single right here, because we don't need Blanc yet. And then stacks. Important to get stacks on. I think there's one turn in here that I may have skipped over where I forgot to stack on somebody before I sent him away. Just don't do that. But this hand works out. We have an EX alt for Rimuru. Okay, cool. Let's put some stacks on. This is the final turn before the nuke. So we're not going to get the Shizu alt, unfortunately. There's just we didn't get enough orbs for her. So orb change with you, and then we'll bring Blanc in, and then we'll alt swap away. We have another blue incoming orb. If it was another Shizu orb, like maybe we could have done it, but I think it would have been very close, and I actually don't think we would have got it. So in order to make this run go better, you'd have an EX alt for Shizu as well. But we don't, so we're going to have to make do, and I don't feel like doing it over again. So, weakness strike from Blanc, 100% on the 2 targets. It's better than Shizu's because she's only 60. We'll bring Rimuru in. We will use his physical buff, and we're going to try an RNG with his orb change to make it so we leave his orb so we can bring Albus in. If it doesn't, oh well, thankfully it works out, so now we can replace that 1 Rimuru orb with Albus so we have an alt, and now we have a full 6-hand send, and then we'll buff, and we'll apply the burn, and it will work. She'll cleanse it immediately, but we'll still get burn damage out of it. So, 1 more stack of Renard. And then, yeah, we don't need to do anything else. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Albus, 76. Shizu, 686. Rimuru, 2.5 million damage. And then 1, 2, and 3. And then the burn will kick in. And it does 1 million. So, I mean, that's That's pretty good damage right there. Doing 1,000,000. Nice little addition. But she cleanses it off immediately. But we still got the burn. It still added to the score. And we got a cheeky counterattack too. So those are the 3 teams that I have for you today. Again, please, if you have other teams that you found that work, combinations, or just full-on different-ass teams, please put it in the comments and make everyone's life a bit easier. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.